My apologies, I didn't see you there. Oh, no. That's just one of my hobbies. Don't mind that. So, you're interested in creating a rubric to use for assessments, but you're not quite sure where you want to start. Well, you've come to the right spot. Today we're going to take a look at some components of rubrics. We're also going to take a look at the benefits of rubrics, as well as some things you need to watch out for when you create your rubric. I'm also going to walk you through the steps of creating a rubric, and we're going to talk about fun ways to incorporate your unit theme into your rubric. So, if you've got a couple minutes here, why don't you grab a piece of paper, grab a pencil, and we'll get started. Rubrics can be used for any subject, including math. Okay. Now they come in many shapes and sizes. But for the sake of this video, we're just going to stick to the standard 4-point rubric. So you're probably wondering, what is a rubric? Well, it's a type of formal assessment which defines criteria for which we're going to judge a piece of work. Those are listed right here on the left. Now, for each of those criteria, we're going to set up different levels of achievement. Take a look at this rubric right here. This is a standard 4-point rubric. For each criteria, we have 4 different levels of achievement. Let's take a closer look at some of the components of a rubric. So here I have a template for my standard 4-point rubric. If you notice there on the left-hand side where it says category, that's where we're going to put our different criteria. Up on the top where it says 4, 3, 2, and 1, those are our different levels of achievement. Now eventually we're going to go in and name those levels, but the first thing we want to do here is figure out what criteria we want to use. Now I'm going to create a rubric here for my unit binder review, so I'm going to go ahead and put that up there in the title. Now let's talk about our criteria or our categories real quick. These can really be anything, both quantitative and qualitative, that you want to look for in an assignment. So for instance, if it's a speech assignment, you could be talking about tone of voice, volume. If it's a homework assignment, you might be talking about completion. So my rubric here is for a binder check. So the categories I came up with were notes, example problems, practice problems, bell ringer, organization. Now we're going to put those in our left-hand column here. And like I said earlier, up at our top where we have our 4 levels, we're going to go in and name these. So you can get creative with this. This is where you can really tie in your theme. But since my rubric is really for a high school level, I'm just going to keep it simple. I'll put my 4 as exemplary, my 3, I'll call that proficient, 2 emerging, and 1 needs improvement. So for each of your criteria, you're going to go and create 4 different levels of achievement. You always want to start at your highest level. In my case, it's the exemplary level. I'm going to start by setting my achievements for the exemplary level, and then from there, I'm going to reduce in the next level, and reduce in the next level, and reduce finally down to the first level. Now let's take a look at how that looks on my unit binder rubric. For my exemplary level, where I always need to start, I'm going to say student has completely and accurately filled in 100% of the notes for the unit. From there, I'm going to reduce. So my proficient level, I'm going to say student has completely and accurately filled in 75% of the notes for the unit. From there, we're going to reduce again to get our emerging level. So I'm going to say student has completed and accurately filled in 50% of the notes for the unit. And finally, in my needs improvement level, I'm going to say student has completely and accurately filled in less than 25% of the notes for the unit. Notice that each time I reduce, I'm reducing by the same increment. So I started out at 100%, I reduced it by 25% to get my proficient, I reduced that by 25% to get my emerging, and I reduced that by 25% to get to my needs improvement level. So you're going to go in for every criteria you've come up with and create 4 different levels, always starting at the highest level and reducing from there.
My notes was really an example of a quantitative category. Let's take a look at what a qualitative category looks like. Down here at the bottom, I'm going to do my organization category. Now, I'm always going to start at my exemplary, my 4 points, and I'm going to say something along the lines of notes, example problems, practice problems are all in the correct order, and all of my unit sections are labeled. From there, I'm going to reduce to get to my proficient level. I might say something like notes, examples, problems, practice problems are all in correct order, but some of the sections are not labeled. You want to continue reducing until you get down to that last level. And once you've got your entire rubric filled in, the last thing you've got to do here is take a look at our scale at the bottom. Now for a standard 4-point rubric, your scale is going to be along these lines. For an A, it's going to be anywhere from 20 to 18. For a B, we're looking at a score of 17 to 16. For a C, 15 to 14, and so on and so forth. Now that you know the basic components of a 4-point rubric, let's discuss some of the benefits of using rubrics, as well as some things you need to look out for when you're constructing your own rubric. Now, regardless of the criteria and quality benchmark used, a well-designed rubric precisely outlines goals and expectations for students to learn. It also allows for individualized feedback from the teacher, and when expectations are clear and concise, students have the ability to take control of their learning. Rubrics really improve student learning by providing students with clear expectations, allowing the students to set their own goals, and allowing them to take responsibility for the final outcome of their assignment. With that being said, rubrics should be held to the same validity, reliability, and fairness standards of those traditional assessments. That doesn't really mean we have to go in and do extensive data analysis of our rubric. All it means is we need to be cognizant of biases that might come with gender, race, ethnicity, or socioeconomic status. It's really all just about taking the extra time to critique the rubrics that we are using. The last thing I want to look at today is how we can incorporate some of our unit themes into a rubric. Say for instance your class is doing an assignment on cars. Go in and be creative. Maybe the highest level you could call a Ferrari, while the third level might be a Corvette. Level 2 you could call a Prius, and maybe the lowest level is an Oldsmobile. Stuff like that really makes rubrics fun, and it gives students a break from the monotony of A, B, C, D, the standard grading level system.
So, now that you know a little bit more about rubrics, the components, the benefits, some things that you should look out for when constructing them, why don't you go try and make one yourself? It never hurts to practice. Now, where was I again? I got it.